One of the toughest conditions that I run across is heart conditions. Let me tell you why I say that. In the last few years, I've had a number of my very close and dear friends who've had heart conditions. And when I say heart conditions, we're talking congestive heart failure, myocardial infarction, which is what we call a heart attack. They've had angina a few times. Coronary artery disease is typically the more common one, and ischemic heart disease is the other one. But let's get away from all the medical terms. Let's kind of get down to the nitty gritty of how this happens. And I'm going to share with you an instance that happened with a close friend of mine. A friend of mine noticed he's having a hard time breathing. Couldn't quite understand why. He was a heavier guy, but in pretty decent shape. Couldn't figure out why he was having a hard time breathing. Felt something weird was going on because this wasn't his normal difficulty breathing. It was a weird kind of intenseness. So then he goes to the doctor. Doctor tells him, checks, listens to his heart and says, dude, you need to go to, he probably said it like that too. Dude, you need to go to the hospital like right now. Goes to the hospital. Literally, as they're listening to it and doing a quick test, they put him under because they realize that he's got a heart condition that they need to fix, not now, but right now. Comes to find out that he had severe blockage. Let me tell you something. Cracking open your chest to do anything is not a normal phenomenon. And I can tell you, now he said he breathed a lot easier afterwards, but let me talk to you about what his life was immediately after that. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like this. His was like this. Afterwards, first of all, it took him about a month. I wouldn't say a month, about a week or two, couple of weeks to get out of the hospital. His chest was sore. Laying on his side was painful. Laying on his chest was painful. Breathing sometimes was painful because guess what? Most people realize the solar plexus, the bone is right there. Your chest bone is one of your biggest bones in your body. And imagine someone cracking that bad boy to get to your heart. So he was in a lot of pain. This is a guy I know who used to be a hard charger. He still is a hard charger, but he was determined to get back to work. His doctor told him that he would probably be out of work for 3 months. 3 months now. He couldn't wrap his brain around that. So I love this story because he told me his doctor told him, if you can make it through one complete day, then let's talk about you getting you back to work. So guess what? He gets up in the morning. He and his wife get their kids up, get them ready for school. She goes off to work. He gets up, and I mean, this is like 6 o'clock in the morning. He gets up. He, does a little dusting, does a little house cleaning, makes wifey, or something for her for lunch and all that stuff. And he is rolling. So he's about 6 o'clock in the morning. So right around 10 o'clock, he's like starting to get a little winded. So what does he do? He says, I'm going to go lay down for a second. 10 o'clock, lays down on the couch. Next thing he knows, his wife is tapping him on the shoulder. It's 5 o'clock. He was only up for 4 hours. Then he was knocked out. About 6. No, about 7, actually. We take that back. 7 hours. Why do I share this? Because heart conditions are tricky. Heart conditions are tricky because a lot of times we don't realize, and I had a client this weekend who made this past week, made a very powerful comment to me. You never realize how much your heart impacts the things you do on a daily basis. It's not uncommon for people to have bouts of dizziness, fatigue, loss of energy. It's not uncommon for people to experience chest pains on exertion. Pay close attention to those things. A lot of persons that I've dealt with heart conditions, they try their best to do the things that they used to do. I mean, really try. This is not me trying to be funny. They really try their best to do the things that they used to do. Make note of the differences. Note how much time it normally takes you to do certain things that you know you could do really quickly. Think about this. Like for him, he used to be able to go out and he used to enjoy raking his lawn. He's got a big yard, front yard to backyard. He could only make it through half of his front yard. Now he can do front and back. But he could, at the time, he could only break half of his front yard until he started getting dizzy, lightheaded, and started sweating. Most times people with heart conditions, some surgical procedures, whether it be a stent, coronary artery bypass graft, whether it be double, triple, whatever the case may be, sometimes with the necessary treatment, after a period of time, they're able to reintegrate back into the workforce. With some modifications to health and diet, they can definitely go back in. Sometimes it's not always that easy. Sometimes it really takes a toll on you. So when you're in the midst of a heart condition, if some type of heart condition you've experienced, make sure you take the time to talk to your providers. Make sure you talk to your cardiologist and your primary. Help them to help you get an understanding to whether or not you should give serious thought to applying for disability benefits based on your heart condition. Don't go in there thinking that you know what time it is and that you can, oh, don't worry, I can beat this. That's a great attitude to have, but keep in mind, a lot of times, and most of my clients, you're not only responsible for yourself, but you're usually responsible for others as well. Don't guess or think about whether or not you can do something, or whether or not your condition is going to improve enough to get back into the force. Now, I know this mind over matter, and you can get back into the workforce accordingly, but that's why you have specialists in your life. If you're having problems and you're noticing and they got you with a cardiologist or a pulmonologist and a primary doctor, ask them. Because there's nothing wrong with availing yourself of the resources that are available to you if you can't physically perform activities to re-enter into the workforce. Social Security disability benefits might be an option you may want to entertain.